morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Chopping It Up with Ramel. No notes, straight from the throat. Well, listen, so much to talk about on this glorious day, but I would be remiss if I didn't come up with two things. First and foremost, got to say Happy Resurrection Day. I hope everybody has a great Easter and understand what today is. I hope everybody has a blessed day and a safe day. And once again, Happy Resurrection Day, Happy Easter to all. Also, I'm going to start talking about the playoffs today, about today's games and yesterday's game in the NBA. But first, I want to give my condolences to a guy that I've been tracking all year. In fact, there was a point in time when I was lobbying for this guy to be MVP, and that's no other Boston Celtics Isaiah Thomas. For those who don't know, his younger sister was killed in a car accident sometime yesterday. Condolences goes out to him. I know this is going to be tough for you. Situations like this is never easy. So my condolences to the Isaiah Thomas and their family. And for that matter, anybody who's experiencing some tragedy or have experienced some tragedy in some recent time, I'd like to extend my condolences and all the best to you and your family. Let us begin. Where do I start? What a game yesterday between the Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. And I'm going to tell you, it's so much to talk about. But before I get started, I have to ask, will the Cavs breeze through the playoffs, or will they struggle to the finish line? After watching yesterday's game, clearly Cleveland Cavaliers is the better team. And a lot of times the better team finds a way to win, regardless. They find a way to win. But one thing in the playoffs, as you go deeper into the playoffs, you usually meet better competition. And right now, the Cavs defense is matador. It really is. Where is their defense? They do not have any defense whatsoever. For them to be a championship contender, defending champions, their defense is just not the same. They don't have the harassment on the ball up on the perimeter. I would never thought I'd say this, but Delly is probably missing. Because what he did, at least he put pressure on the opposing point guard up around the perimeter. Not to say he was this lockdown defender, but the pressure that he put on and playing like a guy who don't know how to play. Because those who play basketball, put your hands up. Okay. The worst guy you wanted to check you wasn't the guy who played great defense. You didn't want the guy who didn't know how to play to check you. Because he didn't know how to play. All he knew was to follow you. And that's just what he did. He followed you. He got in your way. He showed no respect for you. You know, one thing about ball players, if they know you got game, they respect your game. This guy, he play like he doesn't know how to play. And because of that, believe it or not, by putting pressure on the ball like that, and he's not a lockdown defender. Don't get it wrong. But it prevents the team from getting into their sets. It prevents the team from getting into their offense. He actually makes a difference. Now, these teams are getting into their offense. And other than maybe going to the basket where they don't have to, yeah, they're just abusing Cleveland right now. And then when Tristan Thompson goes down, the lane is wide open. There's no backup. They missed the boat. They should have re-signed Varejao when they had the opportunity. They really did. I know they took a chance on Bogut, and that was a misfortune. But once Bogut went down, they should have went and got Varejao. They need a backup center. Badly. Badly. And I'm not sure what it is with Tyronn Lue. Why would he bench Iman Shumpert, one of your best perimeter defenses? Why would he bench Derek Williams? I'm not sure. One of the most athletic players out there. Maybe he can mix it up. I'm not sure what's going on. Right now, I'm questioning what Lue is doing these last couple of games that I've been watching. So keep an eye on Cleveland. On the other hand, Indiana couldn't play a better game. They could not have played a better game based off of what they have on their roster. They could not play a better game. I know Paul George, he was upset that he didn't get the final shot. Hey, he had the ball. He passed up the ball. Soon as LeBron came over for the double team, he didn't try to go around him, try to get through him. He just gave up the ball. And they was making sure he don't get it back. I mean, the key there is make George give up the ball and make sure he doesn't give it back. C.J. Miles had a good look. A little awkward on the shot, but it was a good look. Had he dropped, we'd be singing another tune. We'd be singing another tune right now. Had it dropped. But nevertheless, the problem that Indiana has, and I share with you, Paul George, PG-13, had 29 points. Lance Stevenson came off the bench, played magnificent. He had 16 points. Jeff Teague, 15 points. No big deal on assists, maybe five assists, if that, maybe 6. All right? Where's Monta Ellis? This guy's a shell of himself. This guy at one time or another was a prolific scorer in the top 15 every year. Where is Monta Ellis' game? Miles Turner, a good-looking youngster, not quite there yet. This team is missing a second star. Many people out there thinks that PG-13 Paul George is a Batman. I'm not sure if Paul George is a Batman, but he's the Batman on this team. But I'm not sure if he's overall a Batman. But with that said, being that he's a Batman on this team, they need to find him a Robin. Someone who can threat to score 20 plus points every night. And then you can live with Jeff Teague's 15 a night. Because he could be the catalyst, he could be the Batgirl on the team. But they need to find a Robin. Otherwise, they risk losing Paul George. I know it will never happen. But they need to find a way to bring Jimmy Butler to Indiana. That's what they're missing right there. They need a second player somewhat like a Jimmy Butler. I know it's going to be difficult. Or maybe they give up the youngster and look for a DeMarcus Cousins and pair him up with Paul George. But until they get that second star, I think Indiana is going to be a first-round exit or risk losing Paul George to free agency. Now, Paul George, he battled LeBron yesterday. LeBron finished with 32 and 13. Kyrie Irving, he finished with 23 and 6. Here's the deal, guys. They have a second star. Kevin Love playing the role of Batgirl. I know Cleveland Cavs fans want more from him. He only had 17. But if you got 32, 23, 17, 32 and 23 is 55. 17 is 72. If you could get 70 points from 3 players, chances are you're going to win the game. Unless the game is in the 130s. But chances are you're going to win the game. And Indiana could not match that. Now, the rest of the bench was awful. The rest of the team was awful. Yeah, Tristan Thompson does what Tristan Thompson do. 18 points, 13 rebounds. Maybe rearranged a few shots, But there was no J.R. Smith sighting. Darren Williams, the team killer, he didn't do anything. Kyle Korver, I think it was like, I don't know, he only had 2 points. And again, for the life of me, your best perimeter defender, Iman Shumpert, is not on the court the whole game. What's up with that? If I'm a Cavs fan, I'm questioning Lou. What are you doing? We need our best defenders out there. We're already lacking on defense. I don't know. Maybe there's an injury we don't know about. I don't know. That one is questionable. But what a great game. I think this goes down 5, but I think you see finishes like this. I don't think Indiana has enough firepower to beat Cleveland, but they have enough to contend with them. Either one or two things is going to happen. Either Cleveland wakes up from this and they get back to championship ball, or Paul George and the Indiana Pacers play every game to the end, just like this, but come up short. Shout out to Jamel. He's tuning in. He said maybe so. He has to take that last shot, Paul George. Here's the thing. Paul George is 0 for 15 according to Chauncey Billups' reports. He's 0 for 15 and taking deciding shots under 20 seconds. All right? Ain't like he's automatic. He's not automatic. That's number one. Number two, he had the ball. He had the ball. He had to think that if he gave it up, he had to give it up for a better opportunity because they weren't going to let him get it back. They would have lived with someone else taking the final shot than him. He should have put his head down, gone to the basket, and hoped to draw the foul if he wanted to take the last shot. There was no way that ball was coming back to him, and he has to play smart. Again, I'll tell you this, for all you guys out there that's athletic and talented and think you're going to be in the league or get to the league or stay in the league, guess what keeps you in the league? Smarts. There's a lot of athletic guys that didn't make it in the league. Why? Because the mental game wasn't as strong as the athletic game or the talent game. You take a guy like Harold Miner, Isaiah Ryder, had all kind of athleticism, all kind of freakish talent. But then you take a Grant Hill who had injuries throughout his whole career. Nearly had a 20-year career and stayed in the game despite it all. Why? Here. Your mental game has to be better than your actual physical game if you want to remain in the game or have success in the game. Because that otherwise, everything else will be short-lived. You think Rodman got in the Hall of Fame because he was talented? No. He got in the Hall of Fame because of mental. He said to himself, I can't score with these guys. Let everybody else do the scoring. I'll do the dirty work. I'll play defense and grab rebound. Kept him in the game. He's got 5 rings for it. One of the all-time great rebounders. One of the all-time great defenders. And he's a Hall of Famer despite his strange behavior. But it was his mental game that kept him in the game. Paul George, you have to be smart there. Take the ball to the hole. Take the ball to the hole. Moving right along, there was other games. I have Toronto beating Cleveland in the second round. But Toronto better get their act together because this Milwaukee Bucks team is on a mission. What I saw yesterday, some of the highlights, and yes, my Rookie of the Year candidate, Malcolm Brogdon, 16 points, outplayed Kyle Lowry, the Olympic gold champion winner of this last summer, all-star player, playoff experience. This rookie kid coming out there looking like a seasoned vet, 5 years in college playing ball at the University of Virginia, coming out here under the guidance of Jason Kidd, mirroring Jason Kidd somewhat. I think he's a little bit more offensively challenged as far as going to the basket. But 16 points, outplayed Kyle Lowry. I believe Lowry was 2 for 11 for 4 points. He did dish out 6 assists. But Lowry, that's not going to get it done. Kudos to the youngster for stepping up and guiding this Milwaukee team. And yeah, oh, by the way, Milwaukee led big through this game and really clobbered Toronto in Toronto. Yeah, DeRozan was DeRozan. Ibaka stepped up with 19 points. But Giannis Antetokounmpo was huge. He had 28 points. The rookie had 16 points. Outstanding performance. Good win for Milwaukee on the road. They say it's not a series until the road team win. Well, we got a series here, folks. And guess what? You know my motto. Stars need to play like stars when stars need to be stars. And in this case here, Kyle Lowry, who is a star, did not play like a star. And here's the other thing. He is the general of the team. They go as far as he takes them. So if he's not going to have a good game, Toronto can just about really pack it in. But the good thing about today's playoffs games, because it wasn't always like this, there's 7 games in the first round. I remember when I started watching basketball in the late 70s, first round was the best 2 out of 3. Then they eventually went to 3 out of 5. But because of money and contract and this and that, now they go to 7 games in the first round, which I just think is atrocious. I really do. I think for a first round matchup, 7 rounds is just atrocious. I can see 3 out of 5. But 7 rounds is just, that's horrible. But anyway, with that said, you got 6 more games to get 4 wins. Toronto is clearly the better team, but this Milwaukee team is playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. The only thing they want is some experience. And so that because this is a team that if Jason Kidd grows as a coach, because I'm not the biggest Jason Kidd fan, but if he grows as a coach, this team got enough talent that if you allow it to mature and grow, you can have something special. They have length, they have size, they have shooters, they have runners, they have defenders. This team is loaded. They have one veteran on the squad, and Jason Terry. Greg Monroe comes off the bench, probably the highest paid player to come off the bench. He had 15 points. I think Delly came off the bench. He had 11. This team was balanced. Could be a tough matchup for Toronto. And you know, and one thing, I'm not sure if Delly was guarding Kyle Lowry or not, but like I said, Delly is one of those guys that he reminds me of the guy who just don't know how to play, but when he guards you, you know, he's a thorn in your side. He's all over you, like they say, like a cheap suit. So this one here may be interesting. I think Toronto still pulls it out, don't get me wrong. But a good win, nevertheless, by Milwaukee on the road. They should feel good about themselves. But they got a lot of work left to do if they want to pull off the upset in the first round. Spurs. Will they sweep the Grizz? Absolutely. I don't see Memphis having a chance, especially with Tony Allen out. And then Tony Allen is not what Tony Allen used to be. But, you know, you had Kawhi Leonard with a playoff high, 32 points. You had LaMarcus Aldridge with 20 points. But here's the problem for Memphis. If you're going to allow Tony Parker to turn back the clock and get 18 points on you, it's going to be a long afternoon. It's going to be a long afternoon. So I don't see anything happening there. Gasol, yeah, he had 32 points. He did what Gasol normally does. But outside of that, they don't have enough scoring. They may be lucky to get one at home, but otherwise, I see Spurs just walking through the first round 4 straight. I don't see them really posing any threat to them at all. I don't see it at all. I don't think Grizzlies have it in them. Good team, good story. Fizdale should be commended what he's done with this team in his first year as a rookie coach. But I don't see anything else going on over there. No, I don't see it. Spurs will walk through this. I think Pop tied Phil Jackson for the most playoff wins, decided by 25 points or more. Yeah, this was an absolute blowout. I think it was 111. I don't know, 111-83 or something like that. I just don't know. I don't see it happening. Again, Spurs should breeze through this and get a complete sweep on this one here. All right, and here's the real question, because I watched this game last night. This was a great game. By the way, it was a great game. Will the Utah Jazz send the Clips home packing in the first round again after the first round loss to the Portland Trail Blazers, although last year they didn't have Blake and Chris Paul throughout that playoff series. But Does the Utah Jazz send them home? I say yes. This loss to the Clippers at home was a bad loss. If they don't come out next game highly motivated, they could be on the verge of being swept. This was first of all, this was a Clippers. This is Clippers game. Unfortunately, Gobert, he gets hurt in the first 19 seconds of the game. He's hyperextended his knee. MRI is scheduled for today. He did not return. This guy is a candidate. He probably going to be running up to Draymond Green and Defensive Player of the Year, but he's clearly on the all-defensive team this season. He's that kind of factor. And when you think about centers in the game, Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, and even the opposing center on the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan, for this guy to be considered, I mean, there's some goaltenders out there, but this guy is among the best out there, and it probably is the best. It's just that Draymond Green does so much, from guard 1 through 5. That's the only reason why I give it to Draymond Green. But you look at this guy here, to see him go down, this Utah team didn't put their head down. See, one thing I don't know about this Utah team, and I got to give credit to Quinn Snyder, and maybe Doug Collins touched on it a little bit, but this team has not played with their starting 5 probably more than 14 games all year. So this is a team that is used to filling in, stepping up, having guys in and out of the lineup, and still was possibly a 4 seed going into the last week of the season. As I mentioned before, Quinn Snyder is a candidate for Coach of the Year in my books. He's a candidate for Coach of the Year, what he's done. He reminds me a little bit, the way he plays Utah, he's the West Coast version of the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens. And the only difference, I kind of like Utah a little bit better than Boston because with Boston, I like them because they have an MVP candidate in Isaiah Thomas. But what I like about this team is that he plays them the same way Brad Stevens does, plays everybody. But he has the veterans on the bench, like a Boris Diaw that can come in, George Hill that can take pressure off the young Exum as a point guard. And then he has Joe Johnson. And we're going to talk about Joe Johnson turning back the clock. So this is a good group. Don't underestimate Utah. No, they're not on every ESPN highlight. No, they're not on every week on TNT Game of the Week, ESPN Game of the Week, or ABC Game of the Week. They should be. It's a quality team. It's a good team. Is it a championship team? Perhaps not. But it's a good team. And if you're not careful, you'll have a challenge getting through them. Anyway, this was a great game. It was going back and forth. I think the biggest lead in this game was maybe about 7-8 points by one team. They were just going back and forth. And it came down to the wire. Blake Griffin came out on fire. I mean, literally on fire. Unstoppable. 18 points in the first half. Joe Johnson off the bench. He tried to match him as he was guarding him. 14 points. Joe Johnson really couldn't guard him too much. Blake was just too strong for him. And one thing about Blake, he's just quick too. But Joe Johnson was game. He was game. And I give him credit for that. He was clearly game. He was up for the challenge. And he gave him the business on the other side. Joe Johnson turned back the clock. 14 points in the first half. All right. They come out. Chris Paul was kind of quiet in the first half, being a general, setting things up. But then he got going in the second half. As he scored about maybe 22 of his 25 points in the second half. He got going. And he led the charge. But this Utah team was resilient. A lot of ball movement. Kind of like what you see with Golden State and San Antonio. These guys was just passing the ball, looking for the open shot, not necessarily shooting the big shot like a 3, driving, pull-up jump shot. I was just impressed. I really was impressed. Gordon Hayward, he was kind of quiet in the first half. Finished the game with 19 points, 10 rebounds. Boris Diaw just playing some solid defense at times. when the switches came on Blake Griffin, helping out with the ball movement. Just solid team. I was very impressed with what I watched. And then Joe Johnson. He stayed consistent as Blake Griffin finishes the third quarter with 26 points and failed to score in the fourth. That cannot happen when the rim protector, Gobert, is out. If you're out of gas, that's a shame. If you're out of gas, that's a shame. Blake Griffin should have took over this game in the fourth quarter. It shouldn't have to come down to Chris Paul trying to do it by himself. Utah took a page out of Mike Woodson, former Atlanta Hawks, New York Knicks coach, who's assistant coach on the sidelines of Doc Rivers and the Clippers, took a page out of his book and turned back the clock and went to ISO Joe as he went down the middle and put up a floater like reminiscent of the Allen Houston shot against the Miami Heat in Game 7 that propelled the Knicks to go to the championship that year in the strike-shortened season to only get swept by the San Antonio Spurs. But nevertheless, it was a moment that we can reflect back as Joe Johnson goes to ISO Joe, goes down the lane, gets the friendly bounce as they get the win at the Staples Center over the Clippers. What a finish. What a game by Joe Johnson to come off the bench, 21 points. I look at Joe Johnson. He put on a little weight. He's a little slower. But you know what? When you have game and you have that mental aspect of your game as good as your game, you'll stay in the game. You'll be ready for the game. And you occasionally might even win a game. Good job by Joe Johnson to pull off the buzzer shot to take the heart away from the fans or take the hearts out of the fans and the Clippers. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers get swept because what more can they do to win this game? And I'll tell you this, definitely if they swept, but even if they get beat in this first round, which I think they will, and I said it all along, this will be the last that you see of this Clipper team together. This will be the last of this Clipper team. And for all y'all that think that Melo is the answer for the Clippers, yes, he is, but not at the expense of Blake Griffin. The Clippers have to find a way to acquire Melo and hold on to Blake Griffin. Because me personally, I'm the biggest Melo fan, and I understand that it might be time for the Knicks to trade him, and it may be. But if the Clippers are looking to acquire him and think that they'll be better with Chris Paul, Melo, and DeAndre Jordan, than they are with Chris Paul, Blake, and DeAndre Jordan. The Clippers, Clipper fans, and those who support that move, I'm here to tell you you're crazy. You're crazy. Melo's turning 33. Melo does not run up and down the court anymore. He might be better suited to remain in the East. I think the best option for him will probably be Boston. But I don't think he'll be able to contend in the West. And with Golden State coming back with their big four next season, and the big four, yes, Curry, Clay, Durant, Green, I don't see Melo, DeAndre Jordan, and Chris Paul contending with that. Now, if you keep Blake Griffin and add Melo to the mix, play ball, jump it up. Now that's solid. That one right there will work. That will work. But if you're going to lose Blake, and I think Blake is bouncing, I can see Blake going to the Lakers or either to OKC. And I see Chris Paul bouncing. If Blake is bouncing and there's no way to bring Melo there and somebody else, because remember, Carmelo is $27 million. You got to give New York $27 million a play. You don't have that. Now, you could do a sign and trade with Blake Griffin. That'd be nice. If I'm New York, I take that. But I don't see it. Clippers have no first-round draft picks. They can't trade one until 2019. That's doing the Knicks no good. Why would you want the Clippers pick? Because if it works out for the Clippers pick, it's a late first round pick. So I don't see it happening. I really don't. And a combination of Austin Rivers, Jamal Crawford, Mo Spates, that ain't going to get it done for a trade from Carmelo. The best option is Boston. But anyway, the Clipper team, if they go down in this first series, we won't see them together. So that's a wrap up of the first day of the playoffs. A lot of stuff happened. Cleveland tested. Clippers are on the ropes. The Raptors are on the ropes. Spurs is just going to breeze by. That's it. Grizzlies is just going to fulfill their obligation of showing up for the first round. And then today, I ask you, which road team has the best chance of pulling off a win today? Is it Atlanta? Is it Chicago? Is it OKC? Or is it Portland? Guys, going into this, I would have said OKC. I think that Russell is going to want to avenge some of those losses this season. I think they were 0-4 to the Houston Rockets. I think he's going to take on that mano-a-mano challenge against Harden, and I think he's going to come to play. But in light of the unfortunate events that took place yesterday, I have to question if Isaiah Thomas will be able to play like the Isaiah Thomas that we've seen all year long. And if he can, under these circumstances, then Boston is going to be fun. Listen, I have sisters, and I don't want nothing like this to happen. I don't know how I would cope with it. My sisters mean a lot to me. So, and I'm sure his sister means just as much, if not more. I'm sure he feels the same way I feel. And I have to wonder how he's going to be. Now, it could go either way. He can be motivated and say, hey, I'm doing this for my sister. And next thing you know, we look up, it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And Boston is playing Golden State. I mean, we've seen this before. Buster Douglas lost his mom about a week or so before his fight with Mike Tyson. And he came out there and he was spectacular. Spectacular. We can make excuses for Mike. Whether it's valid or not. We can make excuses for Mike. But we must commend the performance that Buster Douglas did. He fought a perfect fight. And I don't think he won a fight after that. But so, depending on the condition that Isaiah Thomas is going to be in, I think this is an opportunity for Chicago to come in and steal Game 1. Chicago's playoff tested. They got champions on that team. D-Wade, Rondo, Jimmy Butler is one of the better two-way players in the game. Some of the young players starting to come around. So it could be a tough series anyway. It could go 5-6 games anyway. But today could be a day that they can, unfortunately. And you know, I wish Isaiah Thomas all the best. If he chooses to stay home, I understand. If he chooses to play, I understand. I just hope that he makes the best decision for himself. And whatever he does, all the best. But I think Chicago has an opportunity to steal a win on the road today. Game starts at 1 o'clock. First game is Washington, Atlanta at Washington. Listen, it's a good 4-5 matchup. John Wall's been spectacular. Bradley Beal has been just as spectacular. You can make the case they've been the best backcourt all year. Scott Brooks has done a magnificent job. Otto Porter, he's having a breakout season. Just tremendous what we've been able to watch. And rightfully so, they deserve to be where they are. And Scott Brooks should be considered Coach of the Year. He'd probably finish in the top 5. Atlanta, on the other hand, their last few regular seasons games, they've been playing their bench a lot and getting some good work out of them and getting some good wins, I should say. And who knows? Maybe that's what they need going into the playoffs. I do think Atlanta will fight, but I don't think they have enough. I think they go down in 6. I think Washington propels them. Last time these two met, Paul Pierce took the heart out of them. But I don't know if that's going to happen again. Did Washington win that series? Yeah, I think Washington won that series, yeah. But we'll see what happens going forward. But I do like Washington in that series. The 3:30 game, the one that I'm going to be in front of. OKC and Houston. I think this goes 7. I like OKC on the upset. I do like them to win today. I'm a Westbrook fan. Only thing I don't like about Westbrook is he signed a 2-year deal. I was hoping we had a chance to recruit him this year in New York. But even if he was free, why would he want to come and play for Phil Jackson? That's a different story. We could do that after the playoff, talk about Phil Jackson. Right now, let's talk about the teams that played great, the stars that played stars. Because, this is that time of the year when the stars need to play like stars, when stars need to be stars. And we're going to see that today with Westbrook and Harden as MVP candidates go head to head. Should be interesting. Then, of course, you got Golden State and Portland. Dame Lillard already announces that they will beat Golden State. They're getting swept, guys. They are getting swept. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are getting swept. And I think Chicago pulls off the first one today. So we'll see what happens. The game still has to be played. I've been wrong before. Before I close, I want to touch on baseball. Those who know me, I'm a Met fan. Those who know me, I'm pretty fashionable. I wear a Yankee hat because it's fashionable. But today I got it on for a different reason. Because I have to ask, are the New York Yankees the hottest team in baseball right now? They're riding a 6-game winning streak after coming out the gate 1-4. Right now they're 7-4. They're second in the division behind Baltimore. Are the New York Yankees the hottest team in baseball? I looked at their lineup. I don't know how they're getting it done. I recognize a few names, but I don't know how they're getting it done. CC Sebastian looks like the old CC Sebastian. He's 2-0, 1.47 earned run average. Are the New York Yankees the hottest team in baseball? I ask you that. Is this Yankee team for real? Are they going to be around the long run? Keep an eye on them. 6-game winning streak, 7-4. Like I told y'all once before, in baseball, all you have to do is win series, and you'll be there at the end. And for my New York Mets, can we go to the commissioner's office and ask that we don't have to play the Miami Marlins for 19 games? Can we remove them from the division? Because it doesn't matter who's in uniform. The Miami Marlins has a history of being a thorn in the side of the New York Mets. It might be because of those trades of Delgado, Mike Piazza, Al Leiter. Maybe it's those type of trades that we've got from them over the years that propelled us to some glory days. And now it's coming back to haunt us because we just can't beat them no matter what. This is the second series that we've lost to them in this short season. They took 2 or 3 last week at home, and now they already won the first 2 in their ballpark. With a rubber game today, I'm sure the Mets will get it. But at the end of the day, can we avoid facing them? We got to play this team 19 times. That means 6 series. At this rate, we'll probably be 7-12 against them. If that. If that. That's going to do it for Chopping It Up with Ramel. I'll try to get at you guys tomorrow morning as the playoff games do resume today. Should be fun. Once again, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day. I hope your day is filled with safe travels, traveling mercy, and a blessed day. I'll see you soon. Peace and blessings. This is Ramel. Chopping It Up with Ramel. No notes, straight from the throat. Y'all be good.